You know that feeling, right? The one where you automatically reach for that specific brand of coffee,
Oh, yeah.
or you won't wear any sneakers unless they have a particular logo, or maybe your phone has to be from one company,
Hmm.
even when there are, cheaper or maybe arguably similar options out there.
Definitely.
Why do we do that? What is it about some brands that makes us stick with them, like glue?
It's fascinating, isn't it? It feels almost um, involuntary sometimes.
Sure.
There's definitely something deeper happening in our minds than just, comparing features and prices.
Absolutely. And that's exactly what we're diving into today. We're
Yeah.
taking a deep dive into that intersection where brands meet our minds, the psychology of branding and loyalty.
Right.
It's all about understanding those invisible threads that connect us, sometimes without us even fully realizing it, to the companies we choose.
We've pulled together insights from, well, quite a stack of sources on this topic,
Yeah.
really looking at how companies try to build not just customers, but those, intensely loyal fans.
Hmm.
Think of this as your shortcut to understanding the surprising psychological game happening behind the scenes.
Our mission in this deep dive is to unpack the intricate psychological mechanisms that shape how we see brands, how that deep loyalty is actually built,
Yeah, how it really works.
and what it all means for brands and us, the consumers, in today's, well, constantly shifting world. We'll look at the emotions, the mental shortcuts our brains use, and the real world impact on businesses.
Okay, let's unpack this first. When we talk about a brand, what does that actually mean? It's more than just a logo or a company name, right?
Definitely. From a pure marketing viewpoint, it's what helps a company identify its stuff,
Right.
stand out from competitors and add value beyond just what the product does. Nike is the classic example, that simple swoosh, the just do it tagline, the whole vibe.
Instantly recognizable.
You see it, you instantly know who they are in a crowded market.
But sources point out that psychologically, a brand is something much more personal. It's not just out there in the world. It's an intangible idea, a construct that lives inside your mind.
Okay, so in my head.
Exactly. Think of it as a network of feelings, ideas, memories, all connected to that brand for you.
Hmm.
It's built by your brain constantly spotting patterns and using, well, psychological concepts to form those connections.
Right.
Your individual experiences shape this, and collectively, all our individual experiences build the overall image the brand has in the world.
So, branding psychology is really the field that tries to bridge that gap then, connecting what a company wants to achieve with that complex internal world you have.
Precisely. It's about trying to load brands with unique value that goes beyond just being, functional.
Hmm.
And it's totally dynamic. Brands are always trying to influence and shape those mental
Well,
constructs.
and then there's loyalty, which also has these two sides, it seems.
Yeah, from a marketing standpoint, loyalty is that consistent behavior you keep buying or using a brand, even when competitors are trying to lure you away.
Okay.
It shows up in repeat purchases and when you tell other people positive things about it. For businesses, it's a critical number.
But the sources highlight a crucial distinction here. There's the marketing behavior, just buying repeatedly,
Hmm.
and then the psychological state, the feeling of loyalty.
Exactly. Psychologically, it's characterized by persistent positive feelings and a significant emotional attachment.
Huh.
There's a deeper willingness to stay connected, not just because it's easy or habit.
Got it.
Yeah, you can call this the difference between attitudinal loyalty and behavioral loyalty. Attitudinal is having that genuinely positive feeling, being willing to pay a bit more, actively ignoring competitors' offers.
Okay.
Behavioral is just the repeated buying.
Right.
True, resilient loyalty needs both. Sources warn that if you only see behavioral loyalty, it might be spurious, meaning it's only happening because it's convenient, maybe there aren't other good options, or you're just doing it out of habit, not genuine connection. So just looking at purchase data can be totally misleading for predicting who will actually stick around long term.
Oh,
Got-
so you can see the link here. Branding psychology deliberately uses insights from our minds, sometimes even from neuroscience,
Right.
to guide how a brand looks and feels, specifically trying to cultivate that deeper two-sided loyalty.
And our own psychological makeup, what we perceive, what motivates us, what we believe actually influences which brand personalities we're drawn to. Like if a brand feels sincere or rugged or maybe exciting,
Mm-hmm.
the big picture goal here is to move beyond just single transactions and build relationships that last.
Turning buyers into advocates?
Exactly. Turning
Amazing.
someone who just bought something into someone who actively champions the brand. To do this, brands really need to understand your deeper psychological drivers, your values, your needs, your emotions, even who you aspire to be.
Right.
Sources suggest that just using surface-level tactics won't build that deep, long-term connection.
Okay, here's where it gets really interesting, and the sources we looked at really emphasize this. Emotions.
Ah, yes.
They aren't just secondary when you're deciding what to buy or what brands you like. They're often right at the center of your decision-making process.
Absolutely central.
Brands that can tap into your feelings are way more likely to earn your lasting loyalty.
That's right. The evidence strongly suggests that our decisions, even what we choose to purchase, are often driven more by how we feel about something than by pure, cold logic.
Yeah.
Brands that build those deep emotional connections are simply better positioned to earn your trust and your lasting loyalty.
And this isn't just like fluffy theory. This has serious, tangible business value.
Oh, absolutely.
Research highlighted in the sources shows that customers who feel emotionally connected to a brand are substantially more valuable.
How much more?
We're talking up to 52% more valuable than customers who are just, satisfied with the product or service.
Wow, 52%. That's huge.
It is. They are more loyal, they tell more people good things about the brand, and they are less likely to switch away. This is a huge driver of customer lifetime value.
And, sources even delve into how specific neurochemicals play a role in this.
Like brain chemistry.
Yeah. Think about dopamine. That's the feel-good chemical linked to pleasure and the anticipation of reward.
Okay.
Brands can trigger this with things like getting a discount, the excitement of a new purchase, achieving a goal in a loyalty program, or using gamification strategies.
Interesting. And there are others.
Yep. Then there's oxytocin, often called the trust or bonding hormone.
Ah, the bonding one.
Right. This one gets stimulated by positive social interactions. So a warm interaction with staff, feeling good in a brand store or on their website, or engaging with a supportive brand community can boost this feeling of connection.
Makes sense.
And serotonin. It regulates mood and well-being, influencing how you feel about decisions. Brands that make you feel confident in your choice or reinforce the value of what you bought can tap into this.
So these are actual physiological responses.
Yeah, the fact that these actual brain chemicals are involved highlights that effective branding strategies can, intentionally or not, trigger positive physiological responses in you.
So how do brands actually go about building these emotional bonds then?
Well, one key way, sources point out, is by having a consistent brand personality,
Okay.
projecting a unique character that feels relatable or aspirational to you, almost making the brand feel like a person. Anthropomorphism, they call
Oh,
it.
making it human-like.
Exactly. And shared values are incredibly powerful, too. When a brand's values align with yours, it creates a deep connection.
Like the Patagonia example.
Precisely.
Mm.
Their strong commitment to environmental causes resonates deeply with eco-conscious consumers and builds fierce loyalty.
And you can't forget the basics. Exceptional customer service.
Oh, fundamental. Positive interactions are absolutely key. Feeling valued by a brand really strengthens that emotional bond and builds trust. And then there's the power of brand storytelling. Authentic stories about where the brand came from, what it stands for, or powerful customer experiences can humanize it.
Right. Stories connect.
They evoke emotions like trust, joy, inspiration, or maybe nostalgia, and build a sense of community around the brand. Think of Dove's Real Beauty campaign or Nike's Just Do It narrative.
Iconic examples.
Yeah, they show how storytelling builds that emotional connection.
So sources suggest brands need to genuinely prioritize emotional resonance. It's about moving past just the transaction
Right.
and into authentic storytelling, demonstrating shared values, building community, and providing great service.
And importantly, they need ways to actually measure that emotional connection because it's critical for long-term brand health.
Okay, so motion gets the ball rolling.
Right. While that emotional spark might initiate the connection, the sources show that trust, familiarity, and consistency are what provide the security needed for loyalty to truly last.
Okay, let's talk trust. You said cornerstone.
Yes. Think of trust as the absolute cornerstone. It's your confidence that a brand will actually do what it promises and generally act in your best interest.
It sounds fragile, though.
It is fragile, but powerful.
Yeah.
Built over time through positive, reliable interactions,
Mhm.
consistent quality, being transparent, being reliable, just consistently good experiences. Consumers are willing to invest more time and money in brands they trust. And especially now, transparency is vital.
Being open about things.
Yeah, being open about their operations, where things come from, pricing, even admitting mistakes. Sources noted that a high percentage of consumers, like 81%, actually expect businesses to contribute positively to things like environmental improvement.
Wow.
It shows how trust is increasingly linked to ethical actions.
Okay, and what about familiarity and consistency?
They really work hand in hand. Familiarity is basically how much you recognize and understand a brand. Brands build this through repeated exposure, using clear, consistent messaging and having a recognizable look and feel. Familiar brands just feel, well, safer to us. They reduce the mental effort needed to choose them.
Is that the mere exposure thing?
Exactly. That taps into something researchers call the mere exposure effect. Basically, the more often you're exposed to something, even if you don't actively think about it, the more you tend to prefer it.
Ah.
Subconscious.
Consistent visibility helps build that subconscious preference for a brand.
And consistency itself.
Consistency is key across everything the brand does, the logo, the colors, the tone of voice, the message, and the actual experience you have.
Everywhere.
Everywhere. It reinforces their identity, builds trust because you know what to expect, and reduces confusion. If a brand feels inconsistent, it quickly starts to feel unreliable and less trustworthy.
And there was something about archetypes.
Right. Drawing from psychological frameworks, the sources mention brand archetypes as a powerful tool here.
Okay, what are those? They're like universal symbols from Jungian psychology.
Huh.
The hero, the caregiver, the outlaw, that kind of thing.
Ah, okay.
Aligning a brand with an archetype helps craft a consistent identity that can resonate deeply with you, tapping into those shared human ideas.
So like Nike as the hero.
Exactly. Or Dove maybe with the innocent or caregiver, Harley Davidson with the outlaw. Archetypes provide a kind of psychological shorthand for communicating complex identity and values efficiently.
Makes sense.
Choosing the right one and sticking to it consistently across all touchpoints helps the brand feel more real and trustworthy to you. Sources emphasize that this alignment needs to be genuine and consistent, though, not just a marketing facade.
Right, got it. So beyond emotion and trust, the sources show that specific psychological principles are actively used, often together, to subtly shape your perception and choices.
Yeah, these are like the uncredited architects of allegiance, as you said.
Okay, like what?
Right, we're talking about things like cognitive biases, those systematic ways our brains take mental shortcuts that can lead to predictable patterns in judgment. Okay,
Shortcuts.
one common one in branding is the anchoring effect. Sources show how simply seeing a high original price next to a lower sale price can make that discount seem much better.
Ah, the original price anchors you.
Exactly. Your brain is anchored to the first number it saw, influencing your perception of the deal's value.
And we see social proof everywhere, right? Tapping into the bandwagon effect.
Absolutely. Seeing reviews, testimonials, influencer endorsements, or those bestseller tags makes us more likely to trust and use a brand because, well, other people are doing it.
Our brains use others' behavior as a shortcut.
For deciding what's good or safe, yeah. Sources also highlight loss aversion.
Fear of losing out.
Well, more like the pain of losing something feels worse than the pleasure of gaining something equivalent. This links strongly to FOMO, the fear of missing out.
Right.
Brands use scarcity marketing like limited time offers or showing only 3 left in stock to tap into this, making you feel like you might lose the opportunity if you don't act fast.
Creates urgency.
And another one that comes up is reciprocity, part of Cialdini's principles of persuasion, which sources show brands use effectively.
The give and take thing.
Exactly. It's that feeling of obligation we have to give back when we receive something. Brands leverage this through free samples, valuable free content, gifts with purchase, or loyalty rewards.
Okay.
You feel like you've been given something, so you're more inclined to respond positively, maybe by making a purchase or becoming more loyal.
But there's a line here, isn't there, between persuading and manipulating.
Absolutely. Using these principles isn't inherently good or bad, but sources do point out the potential risks. While they can build positive connections and encourage choice, they can also be misused.
How so?
For instance, creating fake scarcity just to pressure you, or designing websites with dark patterns.
Dark patterns.
Yeah, interfaces that are designed to trick you into signing up for things or making purchases you didn't intend to. These tactics erode trust quickly and ultimately harm long-term loyalty, not build it. There's a definite ethical tightrope.
What's fascinating, looking at the sources on the modern landscape, is how loyalty building is evolving beyond just, product features and price.
Absolutely. The personalization imperative is huge now. Brands are expected to tailor experiences specifically to your individual needs and preferences.
Making it feel like it's just for me.
Exactly. Psychologically, this fulfills basic human needs, The need for self-expression, feeling understood and connected, having a sense of control, and reducing information overload in a noisy world.
Yeah, there's so much
And it
information.
builds trust and gives positive reinforcement.
And the data backs it up, right? Sources show you're significantly more likely to become a repeat customer after a personalized shopping experience.
Yeah, and technology like AI and machine learning makes this hyper-personalization possible on a massive scale, analyzing huge amounts of data to give you tailored content or offers.
But as you hinted at, this comes with a dual edge, something sources warn about.
Hmm.
While personalization can be powerful, it also risks feeling intrusive, creepy, or even manipulative if not handled transparently.
It's a tricky balance.
Balancing the power of knowing you better with respecting your privacy and giving you control over your data is essential. Losing control over your data understandably generates fear and distrust.
Right. And building on that human need for connection, building brand communities is another powerful modern lever.
Getting people together around the brand.
Exactly. This taps into our fundamental need for belonging. Sources point to social identity theory, how we derive some of our identity from the groups we belong to.
Okay.
Communities create emotional connections, build trust among members and with the brand, and foster a sense of partnership.
So it's more engaging.
Communities enhance engagement and turn members into passionate advocates and sources of feedback. Loyalty programs are increasingly integrating community elements.
Like VIP groups.
Yeah, think VIP tiers, exclusive events, shared experiences, or even co-creation where you get a say in new products. Examples like Nike plus Run Club or Sephora's Beauty Insider community build loyalty through shared identity and connection.
And sources are showing the significant rise of purpose-driven branding.
Oh, definitely. Consumers are increasingly seeking out brands that stand for something beyond just making money, aligning with their values, especially on social and environmental issues.
So you feel good buying from them.
Right. Purpose-driven marketing aims for a deeper emotional connection by demonstrating commitment to causes you care about. Psychologically, this appeals to higher needs like esteem and self-actualization. Buying from a purpose-driven brand allows you to express your values through your purchase.
Mm-hmm.
It taps into shared values, strengthens that social identity with the brand, and builds trust. And sources are very clear on this.
Authenticity.
Authenticity is absolutely key. Consumers are very good at spotting purpose washing or greenwashing,
Fake purpose.
superficial claims without genuine action behind them. That can severely damage trust. Sources contrast cases like accusations of greenwashing with examples like Patagonia, where their purpose seems deeply integrated into their operations and identity.
So the sources suggest that modern loyalty increasingly depends on a brand making you feel individually understood through responsible personalization,
Mm.
collectively connected through community, and ethically aligned through genuine purpose.
Yeah, these speak to deeper psychological needs. Success requires integrated strategies that responsibly use technology, prioritize transparency and user control, and truly align values. Authenticity isn't just marketing. It has to be how the brand actually operates.
Right. And cultivating this deeper psychological loyalty isn't just an abstract idea. The sources we reviewed make it clear it has significant, measurable business benefits.
Oh, absolutely. The most direct impact is often seen in increased customer lifetime value, CLV.
More profit per customer over time.
Exactly. Loyal customers are simply more profitable. They tend to buy more often, spend more each time, and those who are emotionally connected spend significantly more. Remember that 52% figure.
Yeah, huge.
They're also less sensitive to price increases, willing to pay premiums. Think about Apple's loyal base supporting its pricing.
Good point.
All those psychological mechanisms we talked about, positive reinforcement, feeling exclusive, even a bit of loss aversion, if they consider switching, contribute to this.
And this leads to enhanced retention and reduced churn, right? Keeping customers around.
Exactly. Keeping an existing customer is vastly cheaper than finding a new one. Sources estimate that increasing customer retention by just 5% can boost profits anywhere from 25% to 95%.
Wow, quite a range, but significant.
Very. Loyal customers are also more resilient. They're more forgiving if something goes wrong with service and are less likely to be swayed by competitors' offers.
That resilience comes from.
Directly from the trust, the emotional connection, and that feeling of consistency and identity we discussed.
And you get powerful word-of-mouth marketing and advocacy, free advertising, essentially.
Pretty much. Loyal customers, especially the emotionally connected ones, become your best advertisers. They share positive experiences and recommend the brand to friends, family, and on social media.
And we trust our friends more than ads.
Far more. Word of mouth is incredibly powerful because we trust personal recommendations. Sources cite figures as high as 88% to 92% trusting people they know over advertising.
Incredible.
It's a credible, essentially free acquisition channel for brands. The drivers for this advocacy include that social proof element, the emotional connection, wanting to help others, and sometimes even feeling good about themselves by recommending something they genuinely value.
Uh-huh.
As one expert noted in the sources, genuinely satisfied, loyal customers will be your ad engine. It's a predictable outcome of successfully building that deeper loyalty.
Finally, having strong loyalty provides a significant competitive advantage and market resilience, makes the business stronger overall.
Absolutely. Loyal customers create barriers for competitors trying to enter the market or steal market share. They're often cheaper for the brand to serve, too. This creates a stable, predictable revenue stream, making the business much more resilient to economic downturns or competitive pressure. The psychological factors trust, emotion, identity alignment differentiate brands in ways that go far beyond just features or price, creating a defensible position.
So the sources really underscore that the substantial financial benefits flow directly from successfully addressing those underlying psychological factors in consumers.
Exactly. Investing in building loyalty through emotion, trust, identity, and values isn't just, good practice. It directly drives returns and builds long-term business strength.
Which is why measuring those psychological drivers, not just looking at purchase data, is becoming increasingly important.
Precisely.
Okay, but the world of branding and loyalty isn't static. It's constantly evolving, especially with technology.
Right. Digital transformation is fundamentally reshaping how brands interact with us. Technologies like AI and machine learning enable that hyper-personalization we talked about,
Hmm.
analyzing vast amounts of data to offer tailored experiences and content. As we mentioned, the psychological impact is that feeling of being understood. But it comes with that potential downside if not handled transparently.
And data privacy is a huge and growing concern for consumers.
Massive. Regulations like GDPR and CCPA reflect this. Sources highlight that brands must be transparent about data use and give you control.
Control is key.
Yeah, a striking figure from the sources is that a vast majority of consumers, 87%, say they won't do business with companies they don't trust with their data.
That's a clear message.
Feeling a loss of control over your personal information generates fear and distrust, directly impacting loyalty.
We're also seeing shifting consumer expectations, aren't we?
Definitely. There is a clear and growing demand for brands to be authentic, transparent, and purpose-driven. Sources show that purpose is moving from a niche idea to a mainstream expectation for many.
It's not just a nice to have anymore.
Not for many consumers. And the need for community and belonging remains as powerful as ever, if not amplified, in the digital space. Brands fostering communities around shared interests or values tap directly into this core human need. Despite all the tech, there's an increasing emphasis on emotional connection, empathy, and creating genuinely human-centered experiences.
The human touch still matters.
Immensely. Consumers still want brands to get them on a human level. Wellness is also emerging as a significant trend influencing brand preferences.
Ah, interesting.
The unspoken psychological contract is changing. Brands are increasingly expected to contribute positively to our lives and foster a sense of belonging and well-being, not just sell products.
And finally, the future of loyalty programs seems to be moving past simple points systems.
Yeah, they're becoming more personalized, offering unique experiences, and tapping into those emotional rewards. Integrating gamification, tiered structures, exclusivity, and community elements are key trends.
Making them more engaging.
The focus is on creating value for you as the consumer in ways that go beyond just discounts, while still being cost-effective for the business.
So success in this evolving landscape.
According to the sources, means balancing the efficiency and personalization that technology offers with fundamental human needs, your need for control, privacy, authenticity, and genuine connection.
It's a balancing act.
Brands that integrate ethics, purpose, and community proactively, use tech responsibly, prioritize transparency and user control, and evolve loyalty programs into holistic, valuable experiences are the ones best positioned for the future. Authenticity truly has to be built into the operational reality of the brand.
So what does this all mean? This deep dive into the psychology of branding and loyalty reveals that building those lasting connections isn't some kind of corporate magic.
No magic wand.
Right. It's actually a complex picture woven from understanding your emotions, building rock-solid trust through consistency, aligning with your identity, and tapping into basic cognitive processes and social needs.
Emotional connection is a vital driver, absolutely. And trust is the fundamental bedrock, built over time through reliable interactions. Aligning with who you are and fostering a sense of community are powerful ways brands build allegiance.
The modern world adds layers, demanding brands balance the power of technology-driven personalization with genuine authenticity, a clear purpose, fostering community, and responsible practices, especially when it comes to your data and privacy.
Mhm. Transparency and demonstrating care for your well-being are no longer optional extras, they're integral.
The brands that will truly thrive going forward are those that master this psychological connection, balancing technology with those fundamental human needs and core principles like trust and authenticity.
Yeah, they'll build relationships based on genuine value, empathy, and shared purpose, moving beyond just transactions to create meaningful bonds.
And here's a final provocative thought for you to mull on after this deep dive. Considering how deeply our minds are influenced by the psychological principles brands use and the power of modern algorithms tailoring our experiences,
Hmm.
how much of your loyalty to your favorite brands is truly a fully conscious, rational choice you made? And how much might be a reflection of these unseen psychological forces and connections at play below the surface?